Hi everyone, Amber Gray, founder and CEO here at Trusty Oak Virtual Assistant Services. Here in Austin, we are currently about 6 weeks into the shelter-in-place lockdown, and the business owners I've spoken to within my network, both locally and beyond, are all struggling with the same things, really. Creativity, strategy, and overall focus. And to be perfectly honest, I'm personally experiencing all these things too. Our brains are trying to do us a favor by conserving our mental resources for basic survival and endurance, even though we're not living in the wild and we're not in danger of predators. But if you watch the news or scroll social media, no doubt you've heard these words too many times to count: unprecedented times or uncertain times. We all want our lives to have some sense of order and a plan and hope for the future. But these words, uncertain and unprecedented, steal that from us. It's just human nature that under that kind of stress, we're all just trying to survive, both as humans and as leaders of our companies. But without our ability to focus, create, and think strategically, we tend to find ourselves paralyzed and unsure about what to do next. I've labored over even the most regular things that I know I need to do, including making this video. That reality, coupled with the fact that we likely have more time than usual on our hands, results in yet another negative feeling: guilt for not making the most of our quarantine or taking advantage of this slower season. And then even hearing the phrase slower season may strike a bit of anxiety in you. How can I get myself out of this slower season ASAP? So the good news about it being a slower season: seasons always change. That's nothing unprecedented, uncertain, or even unfamiliar. Every season serves a purpose for the greater good, and that is something we can count on. It is literally clockwork. So here's the core message I have for you today. Remember that there are seasons for harvesting and seasons for sowing. If you can relate to the feelings I'm describing here, then you're in a season for sowing. So here are 3 tips on how to sow good seeds today for growth of your business and to reap success when it's time for harvest. Number 1, find a source of inspiration. Creativity comes from within, but it still requires external inspiration. If your creativity flow has reduced to a trickle, first acknowledge that this is in large part due to the fact that you are lacking in external inspiration, and don't be too hard on yourself. One of my newest favorite songs by Lucas Nelson and Promise of the Real, called Turn Off the News, has been a bit of a mantra for me through this pandemic. The lyrics tell us to turn off the news and build a garden, and that we might feel a little less hardened and a little more free. Cut off what is not feeding your creativity and hope, and find a source of positive inspiration. Listen to a podcast, call a friend or colleague, or read a biography about another successful human. Don't get caught up in the news cyclone. If it really is ignorance that's bliss, choose to be a little ignorant just for a bit and wake up your creativity. Number 2, reduce decision fatigue and increase focus through the simple practice of time blocking. So decision fatigue is a real thing, and we all have our limit. That limit is drastically increased when we're under this kind of stress. If you're struggling to focus these days, it's certainly connected to the level of decision fatigue you're experiencing, and it's causing those feelings of paralysis. If there ever has been a perfect time to start new habits, it's most likely right now. You may have more moments of wondering what day it is because every day is feeling the same lately. I say harness this new problem and put it to work for you. Create a routine by time blocking. If you're the kind of person that your calendar is typically full of calls and meetings, but now there's a lot of white space right now, do your brain a favor and time block. So to put it simply, plan your week by creating meetings with yourself on your calendar. These meetings with yourself should have a specific purpose and a task associated with each one. For example, you could block an hour to write a blog post for next week, or add a block to review operating expenses, or check email and return calls. A big key point here: turn off phone and email notifications during these focus times, and do your best to work on only what you blocked your schedule for ahead of time. This gives your brain a break from making decisions about what you should be doing, and gives you a visual for the amount of time you expected this task to take when you were doing your planning. Having that boundary in place, the little colored block of time on your calendar, does something magical. It gives you the pressure you're used to having when your calendar is loaded with client calls and meetings, and it forces you to get things done within the time in between. Of course, you're in control of your time and you can adjust this as you need to, but if you can commit to keeping these meetings with yourself, your ability to focus should improve as you develop the habit. Number 3, collaborate with others more often than usual for strategic planning. So, on a normal day, I believe meetings should be used sparingly and only with a clear agenda prepared in advance. Our team works as asynchronously as possible to get more done that way. We're all working different schedules, different time zones, so we purposely do what we can to avoid meetings. But I'm breaking my rule in this season, and I'm setting and attending more meetings than usual with my team and with colleagues too. Several of these meetings have no preset agenda either. This ties tightly back to my first point: find a source of inspiration. If you're struggling to think strategically about your business, lean on others and use your sounding boards. Set a weekly meeting with your team, your VA, or another business leader and problem solve together. If you don't have someone to bounce ideas off of, reach out to someone on LinkedIn, set up a one-to-one virtual coffee chat. I promise if you ask even just a few people on LinkedIn, you will have no problem getting someone to talk to you. Just be sure you don't come across as you're trying to sell something. And if that isn't your style, reach out to me. I'm looking for a source of inspiration too, so let's just help each other. You could also check out our Better Together series, a bi-weekly virtual chat for entrepreneurs that we host in collaboration with Exec Wranglers, another VA company in the Austin area. So here I was trying to find something useful to share when I'm struggling with the very same issues I'm trying to solve for our clients and freelancers. It's a pretty cool thing. Sometimes it just happens that way though. When we make an effort to help others, we find the answer we're looking for ourselves. So this message was as much for me as it was for you. So let's remember that we can sow good things during this season and we can count on harvesting again in the future. Hang in there, you've got this.